Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this weekend edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, at least 2 persons are reported dead, 1 electrocuted following an accident which occurred today in the opaque city of Limbe, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. A truck transporting cement is said to have been at the origin of that accident, and in neighboring Boya, chief town of the southwest region of the country, ex-separatist fighters who have been staying at the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Center take to the streets again ahead of the visit of the coordinator of that center, Yengo Francis, to Boya tomorrow. They took to the streets protesting against over poor living conditions and unfulfilled promises made by government. We'll be bringing you details of this, and also out of the country, Samia Suluhu Hassan, Vice President of Tanzania, now President of the country. She was sworn in today after the death of the President of that country, John Magufuli. Stay with us. Once more, thank you for joining us in this edition of the news. We begin in Limbe, in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where at least 2 persons are reported dead following an accident which occurred earlier today. One of the victims is said to have been electrocuted after a truck transporting cement lost control as a result of brake failure and pulled down an electric pole. Details with our correspondent, Davidson Maimo.
Down there, for both people. You said right from my tree, went to the teacher for driving school. Hey, who shall not take for them for enter to the rock town?
In anger, city dwellers blame the truck driver for not diverting the truck to a less populated area.
It's like it's a new driver, doesn't know the town. If you know how Limbe is, cannot drive from my forehead without failure. Downtown to comprehensive, not divert anywhere around to come and continue my one.
The truck, which was transporting cement from Douala to Limbe, we are told suffered from brakes failure, descending the Maifol Hill.
He lost control, the brakes failed, and then got his way into town and started crushing things, killed a girl here, injured, I think, 1 boy, and the driver himself is injured.
It was fully loaded with cement. At that time, there were school children around.
Some truck drivers who preferred to be anonymous say diverting the truck from Maitu towards a sonorous stretch of road would simply means hitting a fueling station located around the area, which would have been more disastrous. One-time mayor to the Limbe 1 Council, Dr. Daniel Matutelyonga, had denied the construction of the fueling station, which to him, the site could have been used as a sandbank for brakes-failed vehicles descending the hill. By news time, this reporter cannot independently confirm the number of dead or casualties, as it was alleged some persons were still under the truck.
We have recorded 2 deaths. One lady that was on a bike who tried to escape and landed just in front of the camion, and the other lady who was from school.
And those students, they were having books without no names written on it. I don't understand it.
It's only after the uploading now we'll be able to tell whether there are people under or there are other injuries.
The injured are presently receiving treatment at the Limbe Regional Hospital, while the remains of the deceased deposited at the morgue in Limbe.
And in neighboring Boya, chief town of the southwest region of the country, ex-fighters who have been at the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Center created by the government of the Republic of Cameroon took to the streets today, blocking the road and hindering the circulation of vehicles. They were protesting over poor living conditions and unfulfilled promises, and they took to the streets ahead of the announced visit of the coordinator of the DDR, that is former Governor Fai Yengo Francis, who is said to be planning to visit Boya and the center of Crise tomorrow. Derek Jato is in Boya.
Over here is the entrance into the disarmament center, and right here, these are the ex-separatist fighters. The road has been barricaded for over 3 hours now. Circulation has been perturbed, and at this particular moment, the Secretary General at the Southwest Governor's Office is just from talking with them. But it seems as if they did not arrive at something that is convincing, and the Secretary General at the Governor's Office, Mr. Muhammadu, has left. We don't know what will be another feedback. These people here, we got them saying that they have overstayed here. They want the government to take action. They want the government to reintegrate them because they were family members. They are parents, they are husbands, and they want that their families should be catered for, or they should equip them to be able to cater for their families. So at this particular moment, we have just seen some element of the National Gendarmerie, of course, reinforcement, and we don't know what instructions the Secretary General must have left behind for them, but it is very calm. We have seen the police, we have seen the element of the National Gendarmerie, and of course the ex-separatist fighters. They are still there, and the road is still barricaded. Well, we equally gathered that the national coordinator, Mr. Fayengo Francis, will be coming tomorrow, that is Saturday, but as of now, the road from the DTR center is barricaded, and security reinforcement is evident. Derek Jato for Equinoxe Television News, signing out.
Thanks, Derek Jato, and we'll continue bringing to you updates on happenings in the two English-speaking regions of the country. Now we are taking you to the northwest region of the country with a correspondent, Mbu Stella, who is taking us to the plantations or the farms of the production of rice, where rice is produced in Dop. It is, of course, in the northwest region, and she says that the crisis that has been pulling on for more than 4 years has been badly affecting the production of Ndop rice, a type of rice that is produced locally, and this is coming at a time when government is injecting in or putting in some money to boost the production of that rice in Dop in the northwest region of the country. Her report.
Farmers in Dop face a lot of challenges in the production of Ndop rice, often referred to rice grown in Dop. Some of them are direct consequences of the ongoing socio-political and security crisis, which has had a negative impact on the output of the farmers.
The crisis don't too much affect, because even the one who will work up, he fine, need to get markets. I aim for taking for market too. That problem, transport, where they block roads, cut bridges them. May chop no come up over town. So the scarcity of Ndop rice that this problem of high places and too much low. Where you go for high place, water need to reach there, where red rice go fit do well. The way you go for swamp, play water over plenty. It cheap, but that can't see rice.
Ndop rice is cherished by many because of its taste, yet consumed by very few persons.
I prefer Ndop rice. I like Ndop rice. It tastes more than the Chinese rice.
Cameroon's importation of rice is estimated at over 400,000 tons per year, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, despite the country's huge potentials for the production of the crop. With aims at boosting local rice production and limiting importation, the government made available over 200 billion francs CFA to the Open Known Valley Development Authority for the improvement of rice fields, thereby stepping up production in the northwest and west regions of Cameroon.
So far, we envisage the releveling of 250 hectares, 3,000 linear meters of canals, rehabilitation of 10 mini dams, construction of 6 bridges, and purchase of some rolling stock. So we level it now so that we can use a transplanter to plant, and then we can also use a combined harvester.
Work ongoing on the rice fields is what brought Northwest Governor Adolphe Lille-Afrique tuned up. Research results show that paddy yields can reach 8 to 10 tons per hectare, with the possibility of growing more than 1 crop per year in some areas. If this is applicable in Cameroon, it is hoped that ndab rice or rice made in Cameroon will one day be available for all.
A significant quantity of illicit fuel has been seized by the National Gendarmerie in Banga in the Mongo Division, littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon. The products were confiscated by the National Gendarmerie during an operation led by the Banga Gendarmerie Brigade Commander, Captain Cyril Jean Fomo. Will be coming back to that report in a short while. In a similar story, we now take you to Ezeka in the central region of the Republic of Cameroon, where illegal businesses are also flourishing, notably the distribution and sale of contraband goods. Recently, an important stock of some of those goods were seized by administrative authorities from the Ministry of Trade. Charles Kmer reports.
The production and sale of contraband products is a criminal act which seriously harms world economies, markets, and communities. This illegal business is fast gaining ground in Ezeka in the Nyong and Kele Division, central region of Cameroon. Quality control officers from the Ministry of Trade and Commerce say the minister has ordered the seizure of all smuggled and black market products.
The Minister of Trade instructed us to withdraw from the market all illegal products, all the products are counterfeit, and that's what we have been doing so far. Of course, it's not an easy task for the Divisional Delegation of Trade, but with the help of the consumers and the collaboration of the economic operators, we are trying and we are committed to do all that is necessary to withdraw all illegal and dangerous products from the market. And that's what we have been doing in the 10 subdivisions of the Nyong and Kele Division.
The quality control officers also say the main goal and objective of this exercise is to protect the population from consuming these products, which are harmful to society.
One of the main tasks which concerns us is to protect the consumers from all bad products who may affect his health, and that's what we have been doing. So it's pharmaceutical products, it is products like water, particularly Sano, as you know the actuality, products like oil, products like sugar, which are counterfeit or which are dangerous for their health. So we have been doing this task for more than 1 month now.
According to these experts, these challenges can be overcome with innovative solutions such as network mapping and data visualization softwares, for they are powerful tools which can help law enforcement agencies in identifying emerging trends and patterns and anticipate the smuggling of illicit products in the country.
We stay in the Nyong and Kele Division in the central region of the Republic of Cameroon, and in the report coming up next, Immaculate Fogwe shows us the ugly phase of underdevelopment in Bot-Makak, a locality with several underdevelopment problems, making life quite difficult for inhabitants. Details with Immaculate Fogwe.
The agricultural sector in Bot-Makak in the Nyong and Kele Division Central region has been greatly affected due to the poor state of farm-to-market roads. The lone bridge connecting several villages is now a shadow of itself. The poor quality of the materials used for the construction of the bridge has been blamed. Apart from this broken bridge on the Loba River, Several other bridges in the subdivision were equally poorly constructed, thereby putting the lives of users at risk. During the Meet the People tour organized by the divisional officer of Bot-Makak, the aforementioned grievances were highlighted by the villagers. The absence of electricity in our area has made it more enclaved because we are not even aware of what is happening in the country. The lone health center in the village is unable to handle some health complications because they don't have the necessary equipment. We need good roads, potable water and schools.
Dans tous les domaines à la citoyenneté.
Les difficultés que rencontrent les populations, notamment la...
Reacting to the plight of the villagers, the divisional officer admitted that Bot-Makak needs a new facelift. He promised channeling the grievances of the population to his hierarchy. He equally called on the villagers to be patient.
Nous avons su apporter des réponses idoines.
While waiting for government assistance, the population of Bot-Makak continue experiencing the ordeals of underdevelopment.
Officials of the National Gendarmerie continue stepping up the fight against the sale of illegally imported and illicit fuel in the Republic of Cameroon. This is a business that has been prospering not only in major cities but also in the hinterlands, and one of such areas where the sale of illegal fuel is prospering is Mbanga in the Mongo Division, littoral region of the country. Recently, elements of the Mbanga Gendarmerie Brigade, led by the commander of that unit of the National Gendarmerie, seized an important consignment of illicit fuel. Smanji Kangebre has more.
At the esplanade of the Gendarmerie Company office in Banga, several gallons of adulterated fuel seized by gendarme officials. The seizure was done during an operation led by the Gendarmerie Company commander, Captain Cyril Jean Momo, in several neighborhoods of Mbanga in the Mongo Division. Present at the Gendarmerie Company office after the seizure was the divisional delegate in charge of water and energy of Mongo.
La compagnie de gendarmerie de Mbanga, qui une fois de plus vient de frapper un grand coup en mettant hors état de nuire ces fraudeurs de carburant relatif.
The seizure of the adulterated fuel falls in line with government's fight against the sale of illicit fuel along the roadside, which is very dangerous. The fuel was later transported to Konsamba.
Tanzania's Vice President Samia Suluhu Hassan becomes the next president of that country after the death of John Magufuli, and Samia Suluhu Hassan looked solemn during proceedings that saw her make history to become Tanzania's first female president. The 61-year-old took her oath of office in the commercial capital of the country, Dar es Salaam, and the Chief Justice oversaw proceedings which took place 2 days after the death of John Magufuli, the former president of that country. Suluhu Hassan, who comes from the semi-autonomous island of Zanzibar, had served as Magufuli's deputy since 2015, and they were both elected for a second term in office that was in October. And soon after taking the oath of office, a 21-gun salute was fired in honor of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and she then inspected a military parade, and the flag of the president of the presidency was raised, but only to half-mast as the country is in a mourning situation. And the swearing-in took place at the State House in Tanzania's most populous city as a condolence took place. Our book for Mr. Magufuli has been set up in the grounds of the State House, which Mrs. Suluhu Hassan signed. And speaking during the swearing-in ceremony, the president of neighboring Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, announced nationwide mourning in his country in honor of late statesman President John Magufuli. Take a listen to the Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta.
And sadness of the untimely passing of my dear brother, His Excellency John Pombe Magufuli, President of the United Republic of Tanzania. On behalf of the government and people of Kenya, I convey our sincere condolences to the First Lady of Tanzania, Her Excellency Janet Magufuli, their children, the entire Magufuli family, and indeed affirm our deep solidarity with the government and people of Tanzania during this challenging time. Tanzania remains in our thoughts and our prayers. Africa and the world has lost an illustrious leader whose vision, passion, and immense leadership propelled the nation of Tanzania forward and also steered the East African community to closer integration. On the continental stage, the late President Magufuli was a champion of Pan-Africanism. In the passing on of President Magufuli, I have lost a friend, a colleague, and a visionary ally, whom I worked closely, particularly on our commitment to forge lasting bonds between Kenya and Tanzania. In honor of the life of His Excellency the late John Pombe Magufuli, and in recognition of his strong legacy, and in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the United Republic of Tanzania, the wider East African community, and the whole of Africa, who are in deep mourning following the loss of an outstanding son of Africa. Therefore, I, Uhuru Kenyatta, under the authority vested in me as the President of the Republic of Kenya, do hereby order and direct that in testimony to the high esteem in which the people of Kenya hold President John Pombe Magufuli, the Republic of Kenya will observe a 7-day period of national mourning, and also that as a symbol of our enduring respect for the fallen president, as well as our solemn solidarity with the people and the nation of the United Republic of Tanzania, the flag of the East African community and the flag of the Republic of Kenya shall be flown at half-mast at all public buildings and public grounds and wherever else throughout the entire territory of the Republic of Kenya, and at all Kenya's diplomatic missions abroad from today, Thursday, the 18th of March, 2021, until sunset on the day of the funeral.
The Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta speaking there at the swearing-in ceremony of former Vice President of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, who takes over as president from John Magufuli, who died of heart complications, according to medical reports. That's according to medical reports. Coming up next, Talking Point. Our guest today is Dr. Ita Iwane, coordinator of the Cameroon Patriotic Diaspora, joining us from the United States of America. Good evening, Doctor. Thank you for joining us today.
Good evening, Mr. Balibila, and thanks for inviting
us. Who are being taken care of by the government of the Republic of Cameroon in the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Center in the Southwest Regional Chief Town, Boya, once more take to the streets again, protesting over poor living conditions and unfulfilled promises. What's your take about this?
Mr. Babila, I think it's a bit quite disappointing. The integration of the DDR programs play an important or critical role in post-conflict reconstruction. And though I'm not a fan of the ongoing DDR program in Cameroon, because for me it was ill-thought and it was poorly construed, I thought for one moment that we could give this government the benefit of doubt that they could do it better. Now, just seeing these young people, former combatants, all quite often taken to the streets to claim for their rights, it's quite disappointing and disheartening. And it doesn't give any prospect for other combatants to come out of the bushes. So, the government has to show some kind of a demonstrated political will to try to drive this program to the desired destination. So I think it's poorly construed, it's poorly managed, and one more time, this government has missed out on a golden opportunity to prove that they could be trusted for 1 minute. It's keep losing its credibility, and this is quite appalling.
Streets, and the Prime Minister and Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Jangote, sent some millions to respond to the plight. Does that mean that wasn't the solution to their problems?
I think it should go far beyond that. And if the Prime Minister sent millions, I think it's incumbent on the same Prime Minister to try to find out what happened to the millions. Why are the boys taken to the streets? Did they get what they were promised? So it's incumbent upon the Prime Minister to try to find out what happens to the millions. So we know it's not new in Cameroon. It's people have taken on the habit of abusing their offices. The misappropriation of public funds in Cameroon is becoming alarming, and I think it's time for the Prime Minister to hit his hand on the table and try to find out what happened to the millions and why the young men are going back to the streets. I think we have gotten to a critical point where we as Cameroonians have to sit back and make an assessment of the last 5 years. I think it's time for us to evaluate what has been happening to our country in the past 5 years. And I think if we make a genuine evaluation, the logical conclusion is that we as a people are losing collectively. I have said it before, I am saying it again. What is going on in Cameroon is a challenge to our collective conscience, and we are losing together as a people. So it's time for us to give dialogue a chance. And thus, I use this opportunity to appeal to the government to call for genuine dialogue with all parties involved in this conflict so we can give real peace a chance. And I'm also using this same opportunity to appeal to all friends, people who consider themselves as friends of Cameroon, to actively get engaged, especially the African Union, which has always advocated for African solutions to African problems. And the issue of the idea of the responsibility to protect, which is enshrined in the Constitutive Act of the African Union. This is the time for the African Union to act, and the Friends of Cameroon to actively get engaged so peace returns to Cameroon.
Not clear what happened to the money that the Prime Minister dispersed for the ex-fighters the first time they took to the streets protesting over the same problems. But what we know is that the money was sent to the center to respond to the plights of the ex-fighters. But the question is, can some few millions solve their problems? When you listen to what our correspondent in Boya was saying earlier in this newscast, Derek Jato indicated that he heard some of them saying that their fathers, their husbands, they have children, they have wives and families and people looking up to them, and they can't continue to stay there. They have to be reintegrated into the normal life trend and probably given jobs and so on.
You simply cannot take young people out of the bushes. I mean, the fact that they went into the bushes implies that they lost everything they had. And now that you've succeeded in convincing them to leave the bushes, I think it's normal that you keep to your promises. Okay, you cannot take them out of the bushes, keep them in a center that looks like a prison. No, the whole idea of the DDR, at the end of it, should be reintegration. They should be reintegrated into everyday normal life so they can live like normal citizens. They can take care of their own families. It's not about keeping them there and feeding them. No, it should be more than that. The government needs to create real opportunities so these guys can get back into normal lives and live like normal citizens. I think this would be a step forward towards encouraging others to leave the bushes. But like I said, this government is difficult to trust. And if the Prime Minister, the issue of corruption in Cameroon is endemic, it is systemic. It's embedded into the system of Cameroon. And so if the Prime Minister disburses money and he has not gotten the desired feedback, I think he needs to go a step further. Open an investigation to find out what happened to the money. And if there is proof of any embezzlement, I think necessary measures need to be taken to punish those who dip their hands into acts of impunity.
The question, another question is about the reintegration of these ex-fighters into the normal life trend in a context where security is still a problem. The whole atmosphere is quite uncertain as far as their return to the society is concerned, considering the fact that the crisis is still on.
Yeah, and that's why I said initially that I do not believe in the idea of running a DDR program in Cameroon in the current context, because for me, I say it's ill-thought, it's poorly construed, because a DDR program would be best having it started during an ongoing conflict. It was not the best of choices that the government made. They should have tried, first of all, to try to restore peace by giving dialogue a real chance. So at the end of it, you can embark on a DDR program to reintegrate former fighters. Running this program in the midst of ongoing fighting was not the best thing to do. And so the government needs to reconsider its position on the DDR program and focus rather on getting Cameroonians on the dialogue table. And I'm saying Cameroonians, all those involved in the fighting, including the Amba fighters, because they too should have a voice. Everybody should be able to be given the opportunity to air their grievances, and together as Cameroonians, they can find a solution to the problem. You cannot rely on outside help. It's a Cameroonian problem, and it can be resolved by Cameroonians, but there should be demonstrated political will on the part of the government to ensure that this process gets the real opportunity that it deserves to set in motion or to act as a catalyst for meaningful change in Cameroon.
Into a newsroom indicated that the head of the DDR will be visiting Boya, probably the center, of course, tomorrow. In your opinion, what should the head of the center, former Governor Fayengo Francis, and his collaborators do at this juncture to handle this situation?
Mr. Babila, the problem begins with the person himself, Fayengo Francis. He's part of the system. That has caused the current problem. And I don't see him. He doesn't enjoy that credibility, especially among the Southern Cameroonians or the Ambazonians. There is a problem with the personality himself. He's part of this system. And I don't know if he has you need to have someone who enjoys credibility based on his neutrality. The director of the DDR program is a renowned member of the CPDM and the current government. So his personality poses a problem. So I think the government should make a change at the helm of the DDR program by appointing a neutral personality. There are a couple of people, there are lots of Cameroonians who will enjoy both the respect of the government in power and that of the Southern Cameroonians and the civil society. So there need to be a change. And if the current director has to stay, he should be able to come out publicly to explain to the Cameroonian people what has been happening to the funds that have been disbursed by the government to try to come to the rescue of the ex-combatants. Okay. We need to be able to reintegrate these young men. Those who have volunteered to come out should be given the opportunity to resume normal life. And it should begin with an investigation of what has been happening to the funds that have been disbursed so far. I think that will lay a foundation for a new start.
He's a former governor. He is no longer in office. But is a problem with persons or what should be done? What is supposed to be done?
Like I said, the DDR program is poorly construed. The fighting is still ongoing. It should not be just for a few people coming out of the bushes. If there is a genuine commitment on the part of the government to see an end on this conflict, the government will put in place mechanisms that will facilitate the opening of dialogue or negotiations between the belligerent factions, and from there, they will have to come to an agreement. A negotiated settlement will obviously have an element of the DDR program. So it would be an agreed DDR program between the different warring factions. So it should not be something that is imposed by the government. You impose it, it's certainly not going to work. And that's why the government has not been able to get to the desired results. So the DDR program needs to be negotiated between the Ambazonians or the Ambazonians and the government in power. Okay, you cannot dissociate the person of Faye Francis from the CPDM or from the ruling government. He's part of the system. Yes, he's no longer a governor, but he remains a devoted, committed member of the system.
About the functioning of the center in negotiation between the government of the Republic of Cameroon and the people of the northwest and southwest regions. The strike action of the ex-fighters is coming barely 24 hours after the corpses of some of the fighters, including a leading fighter known as General Spirito, presented to the administration and the public in Kumba. What do you think about this continuous crackdown, this continuous manhunt, the operations going on in the two English-speaking regions of the country?
Yeah, Mr. Balbila, I think the killing of General Spirito, it's again another tragic day for Cameroon. Every single day, every single soul that is lost in this conflict, it's a great loss for the entire nation, whether it's from the Ambazonian side or from the part of the armed forces. Now, there is no reason whatsoever for any Cameroonian to lose his life again in this conflict. After 5 years, it's been ongoing for 5 years. And like I said, it's time for us to reflect, to make an evaluation of the past 5 years. And we think it's time for us to end this conflict. We do not have to lose more lives. Okay. And it's becoming clear to the government, it should have become clear to the government by now that there is no military solution to this conflict. Negotiation, dialogue is imperative to get us out of the current quagmire in which we happen to find ourselves. So the military option would never take us to where we want to go as a nation. We are Cameroonians, we are all Cameroonians with grievances. Whether some people refer to themselves as Ambazonians, others refer to themselves as, people of the La République du Cameroun, a dialogue and negotiation is imperative. So we together can come out of this conflict. The government hoping that they can get victory through a military actions, it's just hitting on the wrong target, picking on the wrong solution for a right problem. So what I'm saying, I have asked this question again, and I'm asking it again today. Can anyone tell me what victory in a fratricida war actually means? What does it look like? What is the military, the Cameroonian military, should they acquire what they consider as victory? What are they going to brandish to the Cameroonian people as trophy? The heads of the Cameroonians, who are supposedly their brothers, I think, no, this is not the right solution, and there is a need for a paradigm change in the ongoing conflict in Cameroon. We are losing collectively as a people, and there will be no victor in this conflict. Every single soul that is lost in this conflict is a great loss to all of us.
Iwane, coordinator of Cameroon Patriotic Diaspora, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Babila, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Equinoxe comes up in some few minutes. Stay with us.